This is a customer's Hermes 2000. I've almost finished servicing it. As you can see, it's a nice typewriter. Came to me with a broken escapement. It had the common flaw issue where the star wheel fell off the pivot screws that hold it in place, and when that happens, people tend to force the carriage, it tends to break a whole bunch of parts, such as the star wheel, the drive gear, the carriage rack, sometimes even the back space. Luckily that wasn't the case with this machine. I was able to put it back together. It was quite an ordeal because in order for if the escapement's fallen apart, it needs to be put back together and then it needs to be recalibrated. It needs to be adjusted. The pivot screws have to be at a certain point where the star wheel sits just center of the carriage rack and everything works in harmony, but not to the point where it can fall out again. Well, these machines, that requires you take the carriage off to get to the escapement, make the adjustment, put the carriage back on, screw everything back in place, and with this machine it's easier to take out the ribbon vibrator mechanism, or actually just the ribbon vibrator and guide in the front. You take that out, you undo the screws that hold in the carriage, you loosen the color selector linkage underneath, and then you take the carriage off. Well, doing that once is a task. Doing it 9 times, which is what I was forced to do with this, I'm really hoping that was the last time I had to do that, and I think it's good now. I typed all of this on the machine. It didn't skip once, it didn't stick once. It had a tendency where the characters on the end of the keyboard would make the carriage skip, but that seems to have come out of it. So here's hoping. I'm currently waiting for a replacement back panel because this one is mangled. Looks like the previous owner forced the machine into the case at a unhealthy angle and had damaged the back panel. Now I found a replacement for it. This is being shipped to me from Switzerland, where these machines were made. I think it's the wrong color, but the owner of this typewriter says it's okay. So in any event, until that arrives, I'm starting my next project. Just moving this out of the way and I will get it for you. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh, there it is. Late 1960s Royal Empress. And this thing is big. I'm just going to unscrew you here from the tripod to give you a general idea of what we're dealing with. This is probably one of the biggest typewriters I've had. Mechanical or in size, maybe not. Maybe my Hermes Ambassador behind the Underwood there is the biggest one, but with the carriage, this thing is huge. And normally I don't pick these machines up for the very obvious reason that these require extensive room. The room to I don't have the room for these. I saw this sitting outside in the rain at an antique store, felt sorry for it, but was going to let it sit until I got a closer look, and came to realize that this typewriter is fitted with 6 CPI bulletin font, which is a very rare feature to find on typewriters. I've only seen it on a couple. I've seen it on a Smith Corona. I think I saw it on an old Underwood, and now on this Royal. And the reason they're so rare is because it requires quite a customization in order to make it work. This machine doesn't have a shift. It lacks most of the special characters that a typewriter comes with because it doesn't fit in the type basket with the size font. The slugs are completely... Every individual slug only has one character, and it's completely taken over by the big typeface. I'll take the cover off, and you can have a look at it. That's the font. So this machine will be I'm going to service this. This is my next project, and I will do a more in-depth video of the features of this typewriter. I'll give it a type sample by the time it's done. Currently it's not working right. The carriage sticks me the way. That's about as far as it will travel. Feels like something's binding in the back, so I will have a look and see if we can repair that somehow. I better get going on this because, like I said, it sat out in the rain and I can see some surface rust starting to pop up, which has me a little worried, so better now than never. But yeah, this thing is... I'll show you something for comparison. Here's a drive-in movie theater speaker. Hold on. There we go. Now these are the ones that you hang off the window of your car. So compare that to this typewriter and then you can see how big this machine is. Typical mid-century styling. Unfortunately it looks like it was taped at some point, so I'm almost tempted to repaint it. But stay tuned for more.